Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, on Roku, Dwyer Boxing News. For premium picks, DwyerVIP.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let's get hardcore here. Some of the things I'm going to say are going to be very critical. But we're gamblers. Our sovereignty is to the local currency, not to any fighter's entourage or feelings. Let's call it as we see it. Danny Garcia's father, Angel Garcia, used to call Zab Judah a four-round fighter. Right? His argument was that Zab Judah lost his stamina in the middle of fights. So he was really only effective for the first 4 rounds or so of a fight. Angel Garcia, in my opinion, could easily have been talking about Sugar Shane Mosley. Right? Shane Mosley, quite frankly, is past his prime. I have questions about his stamina. He looked awful. Let me say that again. He looked awful in the later rounds against Manny Pacquiao. He also looked bad in the later rounds against Saul Canelo Alvarez. Right? His lack of head movement is notable. So too is his perfunctory jab. It's not a snapping jab. And he doesn't hurt you when he's backing up. Rather, when that happens, as we saw for several rounds in the Manny Pacquiao fight, he's running away. Right? I was surprised by how badly he faded in the Manny Pacquiao fight. I thought, and maybe it's sour grapes on my part, but I thought he had a chance to walk Manny Pacquiao into a right hand, just like Juan Manuel Marquez eventually did. But he seemed to get on his back foot in survival mode after being knocked down. It was disappointing. Let's also talk about placement. Usually Mosley is right in front of you. He's not a subtle fighter who's playing the angles. He's right in front of you. And even though he's right-handed, and even though he has one of the harder punches in all of boxing, right? Just ask Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather hasn't been hit like that before or since, right? Even though Mosley's right-handed and fights out of an orthodox stance, I believe Mosley's primary weapon is his left hook. Right? He gets Fernando Vargas in trouble in a fight at 154. He had a choice of which punch to hit Vargas with. He chose the left hook. You'll notice he also uses the left hook when he has Ricardo Mayorga in trouble. I believe that's his Sunday punch. His other A-level punch is a straight right hand with which he hit Floyd Mayweather. Right? Let me just say, though, that he's there to trade punches. Right? He's throwing. He has one of the sport's best chins. And he tests his own chin. So he's in there trading with Miguel Cotto, Fernando Vargas, Antonio Margarito, Oscar De La Hoya. All guys with big punches. And yet, Shane Mosley has never been knocked out in a fight. Right? This is even more remarkable than Glenn Johnson, who once got stopped by Bernard Hopkins. Understand, this guy has never been stopped. He has one of boxing's legendary chins. Right now, he's a certain Hall of Famer. He's one of the best lightweights I've ever seen. But that was more than a decade ago. The Shane Mosley today is a slugger masquerading as a boxer. Right? In my opinion, he doesn't move that well. He's right in front of you. His jab's not that good. He doesn't have a lot of head movement. He's in there to kind of try to bang you out in the early part of the fight. Now let's talk about Pablo Cano. I've been here online for a while now, pubbing this guy. That Paulie Malignaggi Pablo Cano video that I made is actually 6 months old. And let's face it, like Al Bernstein, like Steve Farhood, and like Austin Trout, who scored the fight for Showtime as the fight took place, it was clear to me that Pablo Cano beat welterweight champion Paulie Malignaggi. Right? Pablo Cano, quite frankly, is one of these underrated fighters. There is a weight dynamic in this fight because Cano doesn't have a lot of experience at welterweight. Right? I believe the Malignaggi fight was his first fight at welterweight, and I'm sure Shane Mosley feels that he's been in the ring with much bigger men. Understand, Shane Mosley had a huge punch at 154. Pablo Cano has never been to 154. Right? Mosley, between these two guys, is certainly the puncher. But what Mosley doesn't have is Pablo Cano's volume. It's not close. Or Pablo Cano's stamina. It might surprise some people. This is straight off CompuBox. It might surprise some people that in his fight against Paulie Malignaggi, a fight in which, quite frankly, I thought Cano got robbed, Cano landed more punches than Paulie Malignaggi, who's a jabber. In rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 12. For those doing the math, that means that Pablo Cano landed more punches than Malignaggi in 8 of the 12 rounds. Keep in mind, too, that's a fight in which Pablo Cano got the only knockdown of the fight in either rounds 10 or 11. Right? And so, understand, Pablo Cano is so high volume that he was able to literally out-volume Paulie Malignaggi. He lands 45 more punches than Malignaggi. Also, even though Malignaggi has a jab that normally creates distance, Pablo Cano was able to land 108 more power punches than Malignaggi. He was able to shorten that distance, get inside, and work over Paulie Malignaggi's body. You're talking about a very savvy, high-volume guy who can beat a jab and who has an excellent body attack. The way I'm playing this fight is I like Shane Mosley, who always has a puncher's chance in every fight he's in. As I said before, Power's the last to go. He's one of the hardest punchers in the sport. Just ask Antonio Margarito, whose chin got dented by Shane Mosley. Right? I like Shane Mosley by KO. I believe that's his only chance of winning the fight. Hedged with Pablo Cano simply to win the fight. Right? Let me point out that because this fight is for the WBC International Welterweight title, it's a 12-round fight. You'd be hard-pressed to find a fight involving Shane Mosley over the last 3 or 4 years where Shane Mosley has done well in the 10th, 11th, and 12th rounds. Right? Mosley's at that age, quite frankly, where he fades in fights. Since he can't match Cano on volume, since Cano showed sustained punch production against Paulie Malignaggi, I believe that Shane Mosley's going to have to try to knock Cano out to win the fight. Cano does have an Achilles heel. We saw it in the Eric Morales fight. It's his eyes, right? Cano's eyes puff up. Cano's eyes bleed. Sometimes fighters just have parts of their body that swell. With Cano, it's his eyes. The reason he gets stopped by Eric Morales is because his eyes closed. That's why his corner pulled the plug on the fight. So Shane Mosley has a target to work on. Mosley has to try to get Cano out of there early. Because if this fight makes it to the 7th round, and Cano is still there and isn't badly hurt, recovering from prior knockdowns, right? Recovering from concussions. If Cano is still lucid at the start of the 7th round, I think he coasts the rest of the way. The outcome I don't see happening is Shane Mosley winning this fight by decision, right? I just don't see it happening. So what I'm hoping, and I haven't seen the odds on this fight, I've been looking for them. They're not posted on oddschecker.com yet. What I'm hoping is that Mosley is enough of an underdog, Mosley by KO, is enough of an underdog play that you have enough leverage to split that leverage between that option, Mosley by KO, and Pablo Cano, simply to win the fight. Let me go one step further. Since Shane Mosley is really almost impossible to knock out, another play you might want to consider is simply Mosley by KO, hedged with Cano by decision, or if you want less risk, depending on the odds, Mosley by KO hedged against the over in the fight. In other words, either Mosley gets the KO and you're paid, or the fight goes over and you're paid, right? Understand, though, the risk involved. If Cano gets the KO, if he becomes the first man to ever knock out Shane Mosley, very unlikely outcome, but if it were to happen, then you would lose it all. Okay, so juggle the numbers. Just understand, I really only see two outcomes in this fight. Either Mosley gets the knockout, or he gets outboxed and deconstructed by Pablo Cano on the way to a decision in Pablo Cano's favor. Those are the outcomes I see. You can structure the bet however you see fit, dealing with over-unders, prop bets, or what have you. Let me know what you think. It is high risk, very high risk. Understand, though, this is gambling. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. Understand, Cano did start slow against Paulie Malignaggi. I believe that Mosley has a window of opportunity for the first 4 or 5 rounds. After that, I personally feel the party's over for Mosley, unless Mosley severely hurts Cano to such an extent that he's able to catch up with Cano later in the fight. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com and on Roku at Dwyer Boxing News. Thanks for watching.